That'll be £6.80, please, boss.
Damit ein Symbol des Ewigen. Es lebe die nationalsozialistische Bewegung. Es lebe Deutschland.
Cheers, mate. See you later. That was Jeremy Corbyn. If you believe the mainstream media portrait of him. Honestly, I always knew the media was biased, but the sheer volume of lies and distortions that have been spread about Corbyn makes me doubt not just absolutely everything I'm told in the present, but also things the media told me in the past that I used to unconditionally accept. Now, I've come to question them. For instance, now, I do believe it's not butter. But before Jeremy Corbyn came along, I never involved myself in party politics because I never thought the left could get organised enough to make a bid for power, due to how they endlessly split into rival factions. For example, in the early days of the campaign for votes for women, the movement quickly split into, on the one hand, the suffragettes, and on the other hand, the suffrage sharks. Emily Pankhurst. I've just met a girl named Emily Pankhurst. But when Corbyn was elected to the leadership of the Labour Party, there was suddenly this whole constituency of political thought who'd been, up until that moment, locked out of parliamentary politics. And I'd typify that constituency as those who marched against Britain's participation in the Iraq War in 2003, in demonstrations up and down the land. And I'd add in those people who were planning to march against the war in Iraq up and down the land, but they had to go to Morrison's first. And by the time they got out to the car park, it was too late, but still brave, brave people. I remember on that Iraq demo, there were many individuals who'd never been on a political march before. And I recall the organisers said that in the run-up to the demo, people had been calling them and asking them where they could get tickets. But since Jeremy has become leader of the Labour Party, for the first time, I have hope that the party political system can truly change things for the better. Partly because Corbyn has never wanted to be Prime Minister. Unlike every other leader we've had, he has no egotistical dreams of power. Jeremy only ever dreams of jam. I'm a true believer now. The late American novelist and fellow Jewish author, Philip Roth, used to divide his friends into those he thought would turn him into the Gestapo and those he thought wouldn't. And I now do a similar thing. I divide my friends into those who love and adore Jeremy Corbyn and those who are Nazi fascist shitbags. Jacob Rees-Mogg is going to have to do a show for balance, you know. Socialists like me need to be more critical of anti-American governments. So I'll begin. Vladimir Putin smells. I've said it. Of course, the resources of our country have been stolen too. And that is what I think has caused many people to look for radical left-wing solutions to take them back into public ownership. The device used to steal our resources in Britain is the policy known as austerity, something which has now been going on for the last 11 years. Austerity is the idea that the worldwide financial crash of 2008 was caused by Wolverhampton having too many libraries. Austerity is not a financial project, it is a political one that has allowed the government since 2008 to sell off many of our vital, once publicly owned assets to their friends in business and knock down prices. Margaret Thatcher is dead, which is perhaps her best quality. But the cuts in social welfare enabled in the last few years might have horrified even her, as they have been carried out with tremendous cruelty. There was a case recently in my area where a disabled man had been passed fit for work and he collapsed and died in the foyer of the job centre. And the people from Centrica were going, well, yeah, you see, he could have got work as a draft excluder. And there's There's a weird kind of poverty porn documentary that you get on the TV since the crash of 2008. And Channel 5 seems to particularly specialise in these. There's this series called Can't Pay, We'll Take It Away, which is all about the work of bailiffs. And this is absolutely true. 2 years ago, they actually had a Can't Pay, We'll Take It Away Christmas special. Which largely consisted of people being evicted from their homes on Christmas Eve. Channel 5 is a strange channel, isn't it? I recall on the morning Princess Diana died, we were staying in a cottage in Wales, and I got up early for some reason and turned on the TV. BBC One had a solemn newsreader and footage of the Plas Dalma underpass. BBC Two had a solemn newsreader and footage of the Plas Dalma underpass. ITV had a solemn newsreader and footage of the Salpêtrière Hospital. Channel 4, a solemn newsreader and footage of the Plas Dalma underpass and the mangled Mercedes. Channel 5 had a purple dinosaur. Going dumby, dumby, dumby. Because nobody had come into the office with the keys to change the tape. It's terrible, though, how over time your heroes let you down. Performers you once admired come to disappoint you. Because that dinosaur was Barney the dinosaur. And of course, he now stands accused on charges of prehistoric sex abuse. Another friend of Barney the dinosaur is Godzilla. That guy's just a bloody monster. Another flaw in the left is that they can be very censorious. When I used to do benefits in the 80s, you'd do a joke and there'd be a few seconds pause where they thought about whether there was anything objectionable in it. Then they'd laugh. That gap has now grown to 1.5 minutes. Capitalism's failure is that it requires perpetual growth. People must be forced to buy new stuff all the time, yet perpetual growth on a finite planet leads inexorably to environmental calamity. Whatever you think about some of us wild-eyed fanatics on the left, at least we don't contribute to rampant consumerism. We are not materialistic. The journalist Richard Heller remembers the dictator of the then Marxist-Leninist state of Albania, Enver Hoxha, giving his annual New Year's address, in which he said to his people, "This year will be harder than last year. However, it will be easier than next year." He was a fun guy, wasn't he, Evans? I was at a party a while ago and I was talking about environmental issues with the stage hypnotist and motivational speaker Paul McKenna, who's very concerned with such matters. And he said to me, "You know, if you were really serious about saving the planet, then what you would do would be, you would kill yourself." I thought, well, that's an interesting point of view. I mean, what McKenna seems to be saying is that what makes us human also makes us destroyers of the earth, and that given human nature, there is no way that we could live in harmony with the environment. Therefore, the only hope for the planet would be if mankind disappeared completely. Once we had disappeared from the face of the earth, a great peace would descend, wars would stop, the destruction of the rainforest would be halted, and gradually green growth would cover the landscape scarred with our frantic construction. The beauty of this wonderful blue-green planet would be restored, and its only inhabitants, the animals, would live in harmony with Gaia. A few days later, I was having my breakfast, and I thought, these Frosties are a bit stale. I might as well hang myself. It was Paul McKenna! Got in me head. One of the strangest phenomena around Jeremy Corbyn's leadership of the Labour Party is that the people who hate him the most and who work most actively for his downfall are not the Tories, foreign governments or giant corporations, but a great number of his own MPs. Now, actually, I have a certain sympathy for them. Most were elected under previous regimes, Gordon Brown's or Tony Blair's, and they had very different expectations of how their careers were going to go when they entered Parliament. They were part of a cohort of a whole new type of politician who appeared in the last 25 years, who, Tories, Labour or Lib Dem, were indistinguishable from each other. Well, perhaps not the Lib Dems. I mean, aren't they the strangest people in the world? Jeremy Thorpe, who plotted to kill his gay lover. Cyril Smith, a 200-ton paedophile. Lembit Opic. Nick Clegg, who's now head of ethics at Facebook. That's obviously who Facebook thought best expressed their ethical position, an untrustworthy, smug public schoolboy. All those modern careerist MPs, Yvette Cooper, Ed Balls, Jeremy Hunt, David Cameron, both Milibands, regardless of supposed politics, all did the same course at Oxford, PPE, Politics, Philosophy and Egotism. And none of them has ever had a proper job. Before Corbyn, ambitious Labour MPs could anticipate a short time on the backbenches, then a quick rise to being a minister and maybe even Prime Minister one day. After leaving politics, there'd be a rapid transit to the board of a company that they were once supposed to regulate, an arms firm, a utility company or a merchant bank, for a well-paid directorship. But who'd want them now? The epitome of that kind of politician was ex-Foreign Secretary David Miliband. People say, oh, David Miliband! Oh, David Miliband! If David Miliband was leader of the Labour Party, they'd be 300 points ahead in the polls! David Miliband? Remember, David Miliband couldn't win an election when the two contestants were both people called Miliband! After politics, David Miliband got a well-paid job, $600,000 a year, plus lavish expenses, running a charity, which I think is immoral. The charity is called the International Rescue Committee. In my day, International Rescue was run by a load of puppets.